Welcome to the Wild Medicine Podcast. My name is Tarani, the owner of earthly.com, a sacred path to inner healing, self-discovery, and creativity. I am an energy healer and professional artist ready to reweave ceremony and heart-centeredness into humanity. Wild Medicine is a podcast to hold sacred space to learn the ancient ways of wellness. We talk about anything from spiritual alchemy to astrology and even trauma transmutation. It is my mission to educate you on the wild medicines of our world and to show you the way to unleash your personal power. This podcast is full of episodes with both just me and plenty of our powerful guests. Each episode we will bring to you the medicines of story, knowledge, and transformation. Now is our divine time to step into this sacred space and to take in all the powerful knowledge that I have for you today. Sit back, relax, and always tune in. Take what you need and leave whatever does not serve you. It is my honor to bring this message forth for you. Please enjoy. Hello, Tarani here. So thankful to be sitting in front of my mic, recording this intro. This week's episode is really powerful and very informative. I sit down with Naomi Love from Wise Womb Medicine Way to sit and discuss the importance of resonance and just different topics about the spiritual journey and the journey to finding holistic medicine and finding yourself along this journey, and some key things that we think are important to integrate and really take in along this path, especially around resonating, like really coming into what you resonate with, having discernment and sovereignty along your path as you explore the wild medicine of our world. There are a lot of options, there are a lot of people out there, there are a lot of ways, and so weaving it all together is a very beautiful picture or piece of artwork of life that we can create. But there are some key things to think about, right? So this is what we dive into. Naomi is a very, very lovely woman. It was very enjoyable to sit down and learn from her and talk with her and have this conversation. So this is definitely one that you guys will want to really slow down. Like, even if you're doing things while you listen to this podcast, like take screenshots where, there is a time when something really rang truth for you, or take notes, like there's a lot of potent medicine and information in this episode. So definitely take this opportunity to integrate it fully in whichever way makes sense for you. I know I am going to do the same when I re-listen to it at the same time as you guys will. Alrighty, so Naomi Love is an internationally known mystic medicine woman. Naomi has been a practitioner in the healing arts and field of women's healing. She has over 25 years of experience and has worked with 60,000 clients and has trained more than 70 practitioners in her incredible body of work that is known as Wise Womb Medicine. She is truly a pioneer in this realm. Naomi teaches the Wise Womb Medicine Way, which is a forgotten lineage, dissolving the patriarchal paradigm to one that is inclusive and that honors the living web of creation. Naomi is a channel for the Wisdom Council and has a profound ability to read and track the unseen realms. Working with Naomi and the Wisdom Council will forever change your life and how you live it. You can study with her through her school or work during a one-on-one session. And so she's just really powerful, and the wisdom that she carries is very apparent, and you can tell that she has really devoted her whole life to learning and walking this medicine path. I was supposed to do a session with her in March before all the coronavirus stuff happened, and then I had to cancel my trip to go see her in Colorado for my session. And I'm really looking forward to working with her one-on-one, and I recommend that you guys connect with her and just start diving into this body of work, because it really is inclusive of the entire mind, body, and spirit system, and it's very nourishing, and it's very authentic to a true healing nature. So without further ado, we can go ahead and hop into this podcast. Please, if you enjoy it, share it with your friends and family. Leave us a review. Let us know what you're liking. What is setting your heart on fire during this episode. I love bridging these conversations with you guys, and it really, really helps fuel the spirit of the Wild Medicine podcast. So thank you guys so much for your support and your love. I have so much gratitude in my heart. Alrighty, so enjoy this episode, and I will see you guys on the other side. All right, hello, beautiful. I have Naomi here with Wise Womb Medicine. And before we hop into this episode, we're just going to take a moment to slow down and offer an invocation. So wherever you are out there, whether you are at home or somewhere else outside of your home, we invite you to take this moment and to just slow down and come back into your breath. Inhaling fully and exhaling fully. Coming into your heart. And your spirit. And we invite you to welcome yourself into a place where you can authentically listen and open up to the wisdom that is going to be provided through this powerful conversation today. We invite in our guides, the plant spirits, the angelic realms, the deep divine feminine energy, to bring whatever is needed to this conversation, whatever is needed to be said, shared, invoked. We allow ourselves to be guided for the highest experience of learning and love for our listeners. Thank you. Naomi, would you like to share anything?
No, that was beautiful. Thank you, love.
Thank you. I agree. Beautiful. So, I guess we can begin. If you would like to introduce yourself, Naomi, and share with us a little bit of your journey and really who you are and the medicine that you bring to the world.
That is like the worst question for me, because I really don't know how to put any of it into words, to be honest with you. Hi, everyone. I'm Naomi Love. I have been, people often ask me what led me to this path. And for me, my answer is this has been my lifetime, and probably many lifetimes before. I haven't done anything else. This has literally been all that I've done for the duration of my life, is working with clients and studying and traveling the world and receiving the transmission and seeking and evolving and growing and shape-shifting and all of those good things. So yeah, I've been in it for a long time. I've had a practice for 25 years, and I've seen over 60,000 clients. And the beautiful thing, as I get older, I get to see the sort of a greater macrocosm, and only so macro so far, because I'm only in my 40s, but I get to see a macrocosm of every choice that I've made and everything that I studied compiling into becoming what is Wise Womb Medicine Path. And that is my living devotion, teaching earth and womb medicine. And then to be able to see how each thing that I have learned and studied and embodied and experienced, all the challenges and all the struggle and all the beauty and all of it, the full thing was serving this purpose. And that was for me to create Wise Woman Medicine, which is a holistic system of medicine for all beings in all stages of life on all levels. And so that being able to step back at this point in my life and see that that's where it was all leading is pretty amazing. And so exciting to be like, oh, that's why. That's why I was in them, and that experience and this led me to that. So yeah, that's the little long and short of it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so how would you explain Wise Woman Medicine? What is that practice?
Yeah, so it is a weaving of hundreds of modalities. I've studied hundreds of ologies and like herbology and nutritional therapy. And I have studied Ayurveda and Tao Tantra and so master body worker and womb work and lymphatic, like so many modalities that have been woven to create a holistic system of medicine. And what I love about it is that as I train practitioners in the system of medicine, it isn't exclusive, it's inclusive. So it includes your magic and your skill set and what you know and who you are. And the thing that sets us apart often from other maybe modalities or systems is the way that we approach working with you. And oftentimes in the healing realm, we have an agenda. We have an agenda to fix somebody or to heal them or to feel better. And we actually don't hold the agenda. We are rather holding the spaciousness for whatever needs to arise to manifest, to come into presence, to be met. And it is from there that we explore everything else that arises. And through the skill sets of mind body psychotherapy and all of the different modalities that we've woven in, we can meet whatever arises and meet that with love so that it can transform or transmute into an ally.
Wow. I am taken away by the way that you described just almost being neutral to whatever comes up, and come as a healer, being in that space where you can simply meet them where they're at and go on the journey with them wherever you go, and having all the levels of training to confidently do that. That I think that is a very powerful approach, because a lot of systems, especially in either that's like allopathic medicines or even holistic medicines, that will have this approach of like seeing what you're going through and having a goal, and healing isn't like that. It's not linear, right? It's like you do one thing and that unveils the next thing that usually wasn't even apparent and deeply hidden. So I love that. It was almost like an imagery for me to see that. Wow.
Yeah, that is kind of how we work, is in a way through metaphors and through the visions in a way, And I love that you say healing is not a straight line. It is not linear. It is a spiral, and it is ever spiraling, always spiraling wider and shorter and smaller and bigger and smaller. And so what it's always showing us is where we are within that spiral. Where are you? And so often we have this distortion in the way that we see what healing is and what healers' roles are. And then the healers upkeep that distortion, and so do the receivers, right? Because we don't have this bigger view on what's actually happening here. And one of the distortions is that let's say we do something around like healing our inner child. Well, you don't, just because you healed, quote unquote, your inner child doesn't mean that in a week from now, that wound won't show itself, that it won't show itself a year from now. But the difference is that you want to have the skill set and the capacity to be able to meet what is showing up in a different way than you have done it before. And that is showing you the progress of the healing. And I hear this a lot with Like, I already forgave my parents. I don't want to like do that again. Like, I've already forgiven them. The thing is you have to forgive them every day. And every time, you know, you have to forgive them as the metaphor. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive whatever it is whenever it arises. It's not a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest disservices that we're doing in the healing community, to sort of make it seem like that. Because it kind of does look like that. Like, you know, it is not so much. It is a spiral. And if we could get comfortable on that spiral and understand that the spiral is constantly showing us and where we are, we would be so much more empowered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. And it brought me back to, I'm taking a doula certification course right now. And the woman I'm learning from, you know, she's a very firm believer, in one of her messages that she's really like holding us in is you have to doula yourself, and you have to understand the process of healing and be willing to go on that spiraling journey with yourself. And even when you do have a client, especially as a healer, and I think like no matter what path you're on, you have to be willing to go there with them on that journey while you're also going there too. Because right, when we're with that client, that can bring stuff up for us in our own journey. And that's where I find sometimes myself being like, whoa, this is bringing up things about my inner child. Oh, I thought I already addressed that. But no, okay, I did. And now we're diving deeper into it, right? So that spiral is a very sacred thing that I do agree with you. It's not necessarily addressed in the journey. You know, there's like this facade of like what it is and who we are when we're bringing these things to the table, and who we are when we're going to these places, you know? So it's very interesting to bear witness to, right?
We can't hold space for something we haven't experienced. And we can only hold space to the capacity that we have explored within ourselves. So however that shows up, and however you get to do with that what you will, like, oh, we don't really want to hold space for something that we haven't experienced. Not to say that we have to have all the experiences, but the depth and the capability of our ability to hold that space is going to be reflected if we've walked through our own journey, is what that's saying. So as your teacher is saying, we want you to be able to go in and explore your inner realm of doulaing yourself. And in nutrition, we had to go through all of the fad diets and try all the things. So when we're working with a client, we're not telling them, oh, you should cut this stuff out or do this, if we haven't done it too. Or with herbal medicines, it's like if you've never drank an herbal tea, but yet you're an herbalist giving, you know, herbal prescriptions, or, you know, so it's definitely, that's the beautiful thing about our life journey, is that it's constantly informing us. You know?
Yeah, no, I totally see that. And which brings me to the opening question that we're going to open with. What is the wild medicine that is really prevalent in your life right now?
I love that. Wise womb medicine. That it is pretty much. It just is. It's so inclusive because it works with food and honoring the food and making delicious, nourishing meals for yourself. And then it's also about cultivating your attunement practices to get you into resonance. And then it's also about being in nature and communing with nature and deep listening with myself. And so I feel just super grateful in this time that we're in to have the skill sets and the tools and the knowledge and wisdom of this body of work to be able to move through this pandemic time with more ease and more embodiment and more trust, in a way, of myself and of the earth.
Beautiful. Yeah. I was sharing with a friend recently about how this time really feels like an opportunity to you know, practice your medicine, and how it's almost like this is what we've been preparing for, right? Like, who would have thought, you know? That's what the whole journey is about. So I love that you said that. Why is womb medicine? That's like what's prevalent for me right now. And I can totally see that in the way that you said it has multiple streams of modalities and ways to dive deep. So it's full circle, full spectrum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So, one thing that's, really drawn me to have this interview with you is I am extremely curious and like a child, just so curious as I'm like awakening to the wisdom of the womb space as a woman and the sacred nature of being a woman. And you were definitely one of the first people that really I have met through the online realm, and and really had that awakening of like, wow, there is a whole system within me, and there's whole modalities within this world to honor this system. And as I've been going along this journey with myself and just recognizing with like friends and family members, I'm in a place where, we're seeing almost the degradation of that womb wisdom, of that deep inner feminine healing ability, and just of the whole world's healing ability. But this is what I've been focusing on, of course. And so I'm curious what you have to share around that awakening and coming into a place where, as I've gone on this journey, really realizing that a lot of people are uncomfortable with their body and uncomfortable with their womb. And even the thought of doing a womb massage sounds really scary and weird, to some folks. So I'm curious to hear like what you have to share around like getting comfortable with your body and getting comfortable with trying new modalities to address things that are deeply needed healing within, even if they seem a little taboo and whatnot.
Yeah. That's so many questions.
I know. I
love it. Go. Okay. Let's channel. Let's see what comes through. So the first thing, my loves, is I've seen over 60,000 clients in my career, and my eyes are going to be closed so I can stay in the channel energy. And seeing 60,000 clients is a lot of people to have under my hands. That is a lifetime of clients. And I have lived a life so that everything seems to go faster. It's like harder and faster somehow. My experience of things, that's a lot of people under my hands, and I'm only in my 40s. And to witness that and to touch that many bodies and that many wombs and to be in presence with that many people has given me an ability to lean back and to be able to see patterns that we're not necessarily aware of or accustomed to seeing in our own selves, let alone in the collective. And so one of the things that I see is that we are very disconnected collectively as a world from our bodies. We are very much aware of our mental state, and we're very often caught in the mind. And because we're caught in the mind, we have a disconnection from our body. And the beautiful thing is that the body is always telling you what's up. It's always telling you if it's in fight or flight, if your heart is racing, if your breath is held, if you can't have an orgasm, if your womb hurts, if your back hurts, if your jaw hurts. This is all information. And so the first thing that I invite you to do is to just attune to your breath. Close your eyes and find your breath. And without changing anything, without trying to make things different, because that's the other thing, the other place that we go wrong is trying to fix something. You're not a problem to be solved. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. And so if we can come and understand to an understanding of some of these basic concepts and have them inside of ourselves, like, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with me? Because that's usually why we're going to see people. You have endometriosis, polycystic ovarian disease, you have infertility, you have PMS, you have all of these struggles, digestive issues, headaches, TMJ. I mean, we can go on. And we're usually going somewhere to get fixed. We're trying to solve the problem. So what I've seen is that we start to approach our bodies from this way that it's a problem to be solved, it's something to be fixed. And by approaching the body that way, we're missing something. We're missing a wisdom that is present. We're missing the ability to slow down and listen to what story that is telling you, the symptoms, the dis-ease, the pathology that has manifested. What is it telling you? Because it's telling you a story. And so the first thing that we do to just come into this body, and it's like not weird to come in this body because you're in a body. You have arms and legs, hopefully, and a net, like we have this body. And so it's not like weird to get into it because we're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is it's not something, you don't have to be afraid of what you're going to find by being in there either. And that's something that we also hold. These are the things that keep us ultimately from exploring ourselves. And so if we close our eyes and we just look at the breath and we just see, where does the breath go? What kind of breath is it? Is it short breath? Is it a deep breath? Is it quick? How does it feel to breathe? And without changing anything, just letting it be is the first step that we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why in the Wise Womb Way we don't have an agenda is because we don't want to miss that. Mm-hmm. Let's just see what's here first. What's here? What's showing up? What's arising? How can we meet that? How can we learn to go inside and meet what we feel, what we experience? Can we meet that?
Mm-hmm.
And give then that what it needs? Because each thing needs something.
Mm-hmm.
Each voice in your head needs something, you know?
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I think that it's so beautiful because that whole process is building the intuition and the first intuition of your body, and knowing who you are, how you work, how you can serve yourself. And then it just grows from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we often, because of the lives that we've lived and collectively, we can see how much we've overridden our bodies. We override them. We override them with sex. We override them with orgasm. We override our bodies with agenda. We let other people have an agenda on our bodies. There's all sorts of ways that we have said yes when we meant no, when we're trying to get an orgasm out of our body, when maybe that's not actually what all of you desires. Mm-hmm. So to come back to like the importance of this body of work, the importance of Wise Womb Medicine, of womb healing, is because the first step is to get you embodied. Mm-hmm. We are here on Earth. Earth is the element of the bones, mm-hmm. part of our makeup. And so how can we come into this place, into this body, and then into this portal of power with reverence? And then how do we navigate being in this place? How do we tend to what's there? Mm-hmm. Because we maybe have overridden or been overridden through traumas, through experiences, through life, through ancestral traumas. So how do we tend to and listen to all of that and heal what needs to be healed so that we can step more fully into our power, mm-hmm. into our true nature, mm-hmm. into our hearts.
Yeah. And I think that's like the whole goal of the journey, right? And I think I know for me in my own personal life and what I've witnessed from other people that I've worked with or just simply witnessed, a lot of times that's what's going on. The body is saying, hey, listen to me. Hey, come on, tune in, embody me, and especially with things around like fertility or a lot of things that can happen within the feminine's body, because like you said, the collective way of being and just a society, it's kind of run us to go outside of ourselves and even beyond ourselves, to do things that is like so beyond ourselves that it's just constantly trying to reel us back in. And then I think that's why we're in this this place of questioning, of uncertainty, of slowing the fuck down so that we can come back into embodying who we are, figuring out what's really going on inside and in our immediate life, right?
Yeah, this is a very clear, this is giving us a very clear insight into how we are very uncomfortable with ourselves and how we haven't been listening. And not only to ourselves, but we have all collectively made the world what it is now. It's no man's fault. It's not the man. It's not the government. It's not the system. We have all collectively created this reality that we are all living in. And so we're not accustomed to slowing down and listening and attuning. And we're also not taught how to come into our inner experience and how to listen to what's there and how to navigate any of that arises. We don't know what is ego and what is intuition. We don't know what our resonance is. We don't know what our vibrational offering is. We don't know that the thoughts that we think are prayers. We don't realize that we're not our emotions. We don't realize that it's not everybody else's fault. We don't have the basic, it's like a humanity 101, like we didn't get the book. I just wrote the book, Humanity Resonance. You're not taught how to navigate being here. Mm-hmm. And when you are left to your own devices, we may be missing some very important key aspects. If you're walking on a trail and you are looking down and you veer off, you might not realize that you went the wrong way, that like wasn't your way. And then you're looking back and you're like, oh shit, I don't even know where I am on the trail, what is going on. And so this is the importance of community, right? Is to be able to reflect to each other where we're at. And when we are in our hearts and when we are in our authenticity. And the Wise Woman Way very much teaches the way to relate to yourself so that you're connecting to your intuition, so that you know the difference between what is true and what isn't true, not from anybody else's telling you of what those are, but by attuning yourself to yourself. So that you are able to know. You asked about modalities. So you are able to know it's not about choosing a specific modality, my loves. It's not about the modality. It doesn't really fucking matter. What matters is it in resonance for what it is that you need? Because it's not about the thing that you do. It's not how you get there. That's the least important. That might be what attracts you to it. So it's like when people say, what do you do? I'm like, it depends on like the person. I don't know, this many years doing this thing, like I can't really say if it's like there isn't a one thing, but you know, if I'm your match, you know, there's a resonance. When we start to get into resonance, we get into harmony. When we get into harmony, then it's like, ooh, I like you. Mm-hmm. I feel happy around you. Great. That's a great sign. Let's go with that and see how it flows, right? Mm-hmm. So it's less about the modality and it's more about the approach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the feeling that you get from, you know, is this right for me, and having that discernment. And I think that a big part of that is that ego side and that part of human nature to want to shapeshift things and manipulate things, especially when it comes to, I think, like our own life and our own, whether that's like the physical body or our experiences, our life, or what our life looks like, you know. And I think that is the power of working with someone and having someone as your guide and whatever that is. And you know, you have to resonate with them, of course, to know if they are your teacher or they are your guide or your, you know, healer, quote, because, you know, it has to resonate. And in order to resonate, you have to resonate with that person and with that space to really go there, right?
Yes, and then this brings up something important.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find the word for it. Red flag. If you're listening to this and you can't see my hand movements, it brings up something that's really important. I recently wrote an article, is it chemistry or is it wound matching? And the thing is, my loves, is that when we don't know what our resonance is, which the majority of us don't, I'm just going to be honest with you, we think that we do, totally normal, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And deep down, we don't. And when that isn't clear, then we actually can be attracted to practitioners that will activate our wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be attracted to beloveds that are also, we're attracted to, we think that it's resonant. We're like, yeah, this is amazing. And then it's really wound matching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's activating a trauma inside. And so I get a lot of emails from people who have chosen certain practitioners for whatever their reasons are, and then they come to me traumatized, and I have to do a lot of unwinding and unraveling around that. And this is where I love the Wise Womb way, because there's no way that in the way that we work, there's no way for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because there isn't a hierarchy of anybody having more power or less power, because it's not about me being amazing. Yeah, I've seen 60,000 clients. Yes, I've held space for a lot. I have seen a lot. Yes, I have worked around the world and worked with all sorts of cultures. All of that is like my resume that lets you know that I'm epic at holding space.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And being able to do so from a neutral place. And then we want to be able to look at the person and see, are they triggering a not enoughness in you? Because I think we've all experienced it, where we see someone and we're like, oh, they seem so cool. And like, I want to be that. And like, I'm not that. And like, maybe if I work with them, then I can be that too. And so I just want to use caution that you really listen to your resonance. And if you want to know how to do that, I just built this course that's like so cheap, and everyone is welcome into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the foundation for everything, because I've had a lot of struggle in my life, and I made a lot of crappy choices and had experienced so much struggle and so much trauma that it was like, what is going on? And why isn't this shit working? I've been studying, like, why? And then to come into this, oh, these pieces were missing. And so I just want to encourage you that when you're looking for your matches, that you're really looking at, yes, who they are, what are their skill sets, because that's going to draw you to them, but really check in with your body and listen, because our bodies know. How many of you have been interested in a guy or gal that when you came up to them, you acted really stupid and you got shaky and your face was twitching and you just got dumber and dumber the more you hung out with them? That is not love. Mm-hmm. That is not chemistry. That is a wound activation. Mm-hmm. So we want to start to be able to differentiate what the messages the body are signaling, just like you said the word discernment, mm-hmm. to be able to discern what is your true resonance, what is your true heart and magnetism, and what is a wound that is activated, what is the ego, and how do they all feel inside your body, and how are they different? Mm-hmm. So that way, when you're active in those experiences, you have the capacity to navigate through them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
With an empowered place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think that like that should be something in like the How to Choose Your, Medicine Man or One Woman 101 book. Like that's something we need to know, because as much as we wish we could say that there isn't foul play in the world of healing and all types of medicine, there is, right? And sometimes, it's not even foul play. Sometimes it's just there's wounds and there's misalignments and there's struggles. And sometimes the healer might not even know that they're provoking that that type of wound to happen. So that's where I find the deep importance of having, like we said, the discernment and the ability to be embodied and tapped into yourself to where you know what is right and wrong for you.
Yeah. And that system, my love, is on 99% of the people I've worked with off.
Mm-hmm.
What is it inside? It's like your inner compass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay that it's off because we haven't been taught how to navigate it. We haven't been taught how to do any of this.
Yeah.
So it's totally okay that it's off. Because the other thing is that even when it's off and we make those crappy choices, later we call them crappy, we are still learning something from them. We're still getting something out of them. And the more that we start to understand the way that we're approaching ourselves, the way that we're approaching our practitioners or our beloved or the earth, the more that we actually lean back and start to look at how we're approaching it, we change the conversation so that it's no longer a conversation of duality, of like of power struggles and power dynamics that eliminates all of that, because we're all walking the spiral path together. There is no hierarchy. There's no, there's no pyramid here. We're all in it together, and we're all here to learn and grow and experience in the ways that we need to.
Yeah, and I really love that you shared that, that it is okay, because that can be like another one of those difficult things to realize and honor. It's like, even if you get those messages, sometimes as we get into a habit of overriding those signals from our body, when our body, our mind, and our spirit is saying, hey, no, like, not this one, not this way, not this thing, I think, in my own life, I see a lot of like those wounds can create that habit of being like shutting off your, turning a blind eye to the no signal, right? And getting rebellious and doing it anyway, or just not knowing and doing it anyway, because that's the habitual pattern that has been built. And it's okay to be there, right?
Totally okay to be there. That's the beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with you, no matter where you are in it.
Yeah.
And no matter what you like what standard you hold yourself to, it's okay. And the more that you attune to your resonance, there was something that you just said that made me think of, let me see if it came through. No matter where you are within the experience of thinking that you're listening to yourself and then not, or overriding yourself and having experienced a lot of trauma overrides. That's how we survive. It's a beautiful mechanism. So we actually want to honor those mechanisms that have been built in to keep you safe, because at some point there was a warning signal in your system that said, I'm not safe. And so this was how your system wisely processed that. And so the more that we can meet those places, not with you need to be fixed or there's something wrong or you've been overriding yourself, but rather being able to touch those places and just say, thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe. Is this now in harmony? Is this now in resonance? Is this a yes? Or is this a no? Or am I trying to force a yes? And we just start to become, we call it the observer self, right? We start to observe ourselves, and we're doing so without judgment. That's another key principle in the Wise Woman Way. We're not judging and categorizing, because there isn't, wisdom doesn't appear in duality. So we're not caught in the, this is right and this is wrong and this is good and this is bad. The more that we're leaning back and we're connected to the whole fabric of this living web of creation, the duality is just a part of that, but it's not the whole. And so that judgment of this is good and that is bad comes from that dualistic perspective. And so we start to try to embrace this body, the self, with a full embrace instead of, I only like this part of me, but not all of me.
Yeah, like coming into an acceptance, really. And that's how you get that bird's eye view and get to see the full web, is accepting whatever will happen, and just choosing to take that step back and be able to get the full scope. I love that. Thank you. That was like a full circle vision for me. And something that it made me think about was how, one thing that I remember in my adolescence is the crippling anxiety I had, and I remember, in that time period when I was trying to, really work on finding a holistic way to, overcome the anxiety and the fear and all those things that come up. I had that realization that, like, no, I'm supposed to have anxiety. Like, I'm supposed to have this, system within me that tells me when something's not right. My stomach is supposed to feel this way when something's out of alignment. My nerves are supposed to speak to me. And that was a huge shift. And I just had that remembrance right now, because it's like, this is our body, our temple's way of speaking to us. And even if it's something that can be so hardcore, like anxiety, it has a purpose, and we're not supposed to numb it out with, drugs. We're supposed to, address it and look into it and find other ways to where we can bring harmony into the anxiety and into that part of our nervous system that's, used to being in that sympathetic nervous system way, or that fight or flight way, and allowing ourselves to, alchemize it and heal it and come into balance, so that it actually is working in a way that it needs to be working, rather than like in a hyper way. So that was just like a full circle vision for me. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, for sure. So something that I am very curious about is that one thing that you that is practiced in the Wise Womb way is womb massages. And that is just something that has always been it just sounds really nourishing to me. And, trying to learn about it and all that kind of stuff. I would love to hear from you, just to share like what a womb massage is, what are its benefits, how, what experiences can that bring in, especially in the realm of like getting embodied and getting in tune with our inner workings.
Beautiful. So we come from a very earth-centered tradition. So we'll call it Wise Womb Massage to just clarify it from other types of modalities. And the Wise Womb Massage includes the breasts, includes the ovaries, and includes the womb space, and includes the whole of the abdomen. And then there is, depending on your practitioner and their level of education, there's a whole body, full kind of fluid, flowing, amazing Hawaiian lomi lomi meets plants being brushed on you and kissed on you, and sounds and drums and songs, and just it is literally the most beautiful experience. A year ago today, actually, my students, when they're in the last day of the temple, when we do our immersions, we do a community healing day where we invite the women of the community to come in and receive. And so it happened a year ago today. They were all in the temple, and it is the most magnificent, gorgeous scenery of just all of these women receiving this sacred touch. And so the Wise Womb Way is also influencing how we touch and how we approach the body. So we're looking at the elements that you are. We're looking at what is happening, what is manifesting in your body, the tone of your voice, the quality of your breath, and we're meeting all of that to cultivate the fullness, the full embrace of all of the elements of all of you, at the full incarnation, and fully welcoming that So we work with a lot of prayer and sound and song and drums and rattles and space setting and plant brushings and plant bathings and all of these kinds of amazing things. And then from there, we go into breast massage, and it can be done either over the sheet or directly on the breast tissue. And the beautiful thing is, my loves, is that the women are two-hearted beings. We're womb and heart, heart and womb. And so our breasts are our yang organ. They're the giving organ out into the world to the yin organ of the yoni, which is the receiving organ. So in order for the womb to really open, we have to be in our hearts. We cannot do womb work without first connecting to our hearts, because it is dense, it is heavy, it is earth, it is ancestors, it is a hollow organ. When things are hollow, what happens to hollow, empty spaces? They get filled. And so if we're not self-tending, and if we don't know how to tend to those places within our bodies, then we don't know how to process what may arise, right? Mm-hmm. And when we do the breast massage, so we start with the breast massage, and this builds and amplifies the heart energy. It connects us more to our heart. And then from there, we activate the ovaries. The ovaries are light generators. They're bringers of joy, and they get wound and bound through all sorts of reasons. And so we really work to unravel the tension, the emotional tension, the spiritual tension, the physical tension that's being held there, so that we can ground the ovaries into the earth. And then we come into the womb space and we tend to the womb space. And we're not looking for what is wrong or what's out of balance. We're looking to just give the body what it needs through touch, through listening, through sound, through prayer. And that's why we have the plants and with us, because when we're working with the plants and we're working with sound, sound doesn't have an agenda. It just does what it does, right? As a sound healer goddess that you are, the sound does what it does. It's not like, I'm going to go in and do this and fix that. It just is. And so in the same way, we're listening to what needs to happen in the body and how the body needs to best receive it. And then we must call in the breath, because the breath is the key. It is it is life. Breath is life. And without it, we're not alive. So that's an easy one to remember. Breath is life. And so the more that we can call our breath in and really learn how to attune this beautiful instrument that is this living organism of your human body, the more that we can really learn how to attune to that through the breath, through these listening practices, through self-touch, through being touched. It changes everything, changes the game, changes the conversation. So there are a lot of different modalities and different techniques. Because I've worked with so many practitioners and I've touched so many wombs, I've developed my own system of working with the womb and working with the ovaries. And I also do internal holistic pelvic work with the vagina and the cervix. And so we do, I don't teach that part though. That's for other people can teach that. That is something that I do in my practice, and then guide people to do for themselves so that they can build that relationship with their own body to really be in presence with this sacred portal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I answer the question? Did I just ramble?
No, that was beautiful. And and I love that, because it's, it really is about learning it for yourself and exploring your own, having that own intimate healing space with yourself, So I love that approach of, showing them, not just doing it for them, but showing them, and then opening that invitation. Okay, do this for yourself, really get into that for yourself, because it's your body,
The intention is it's not about us or me or one of our students or practitioners. It's about us reminding you how to be with yourself, right? And my students are in the remembering. I am in the remembering, because part of this plane of existence is forgetting and remembering, right? And so the more that I encourage you to learn the practices for yourself, which is why so I've built the resonance ritual mentorship, which is like the beginning of, if you want to work with any of the womb work, you have to do that, because it gives you literally all the tools you need to deal with your emotional crap that's going to show up when you're touching your body. It's just a thing, their bodies, they're like mood rings, there's stuff in there. And things are going to come up, whether, you judge them as good or bad or scary or not scary, things will arise. And the resonance work teaches you how to deal with that, how to process that. And then I've been building for the last many years, and finally going to share it this year, a womb temple apprenticeship where I'm guiding you through a 13 moon journey of learning all of the techniques that we teach, even in our apprenticeship to become a practitioner, but it's directly and only for yourself. And so it's completely diving deep into the womb space, deep into your body and apprenticing with this beautiful body and learning its language, so that you can then take that empowerment, that knowledge, and if you're called to do this work with others, to then step into the certification apprenticeship that we're offering.
Yeah, that's so powerful and juicy, so juicy. Like,
you have to do it. You have to get it in your body, please, before we do it with others. If we don't know how to touch ourselves, how can we touch others? Right? Like it's not about like, oh, you have to love yourself unconditionally to love someone else. That's not necessarily true. But the deeper we've built a relationship to ourselves, the more trust that we have built with ourselves, which means the more trust that we're weaving into this fabric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And it's like part of that spiral, right? You have to know where you're going. And I think that's like the whole beauty of it, is when you approach it like that, you'll see, people manifest who want to work with you, who can resonate with you and know, okay, they've been here. They've been on this journey. I feel that they can guide me to where I need to be, to my remembrance,
Yeah. Where do you want to go? And match that frequency with the person who's holding that vibe.
Yeah, wholeheartedly and wombly.
When I started studying womb work, I was a teenager, and I didn't start teaching it until I was in my mid-20s, and I didn't start practicing it until I was in my 30s. So I definitely am very much about getting it in your body. I can't teach something or share something that I don't have in my system, that I don't fully have 100% in me. It has become me, so much so that when you ask me about it, I'm like, I don't know, because it just like is me. That's the only problem there.
Yeah, I resonate with that though. It's so true, because it's just that your essence, right? And it's so funny because, when I, say family members and, people like say I haven't seen them since I was a little girl. They're like, how did you get into this kind of stuff? How did you, what do you do in it? And I get in that same place of like, well, this is just me. This is just, since I was that little girl, like these were going through my head, but now I'm an adult and I can try things and I can do my own research, and it's just part of that growing process. And I love that approach to just like, this is just the way. And I definitely am a firm believer too. And I love when that is part of the conversation of like, go there for yourself, do this healing for you, and it was very similar for me when I, first began, learning modalities and learning, say, energy healing with Reiki and other modalities. There's like whole years period where just do it for yourself, and it's very difficult when you say for me, I witnessed that come up where it's like meeting students who they want to learn to give. And it's like,
I love that. If I can add too, because that is one of the key issues that will kick you in the ass later as the healer.
I know. Because, and you have to tell them, you're like, okay,
codependency.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was just doing a live with my students in the mentorship around motherhood. And there is this thing when we're mothers where we give till we give out. And we're not actually considered, like, our needs aren't, I'm going to say our, although I'm not a mother technically, it's easier. So it's, our needs are the last to get met, right? Traditionally, if we look collectively at cultures, the woman, we are the last as the mother to get met. And when we are looking out and we're learning stuff, I want to help people with this, I want to help people, we're avoiding ourselves. And that is, I love that you brought that up, because it is a key to the reason why in everything that I teach, there's like a rigidity. The only place that it's rigid, I guess, is to say you have to do it on yourself before you're going to do it on others. The other thing is it's responsible. Mm-hmm. We have to be responsible.
Yeah.
Right? And so there is this, like, I'll get people who are like, can I do a weekend womb training? And I'm like, I don't training you how to touch someone's womb in a weekend, because that would be irresponsible for me as a space holder. And the key knowledge, and even my students who are in the certification program, I do a 2.5-year certification. You have to commit for 2.5 years, because after the first year, you're going to think you know what you're doing, and you still don't. Mm-hmm. And then after the second year, you're still going to think you know what you're doing, and you're going to know a little bit more, but not fully. And then by the third year, you're like, oh, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. Mm-hmm. It sinks in. It's just how it is. Mm-hmm. Right?
And if you hop into that, for me, I witness, and even, in my own life and practice, I think, you can see how when you come with that approach of like, I want to learn and I want to share, like you said, it just kind of kicks you in the ass, and it puts you in your place, and it makes that whole learning experience a lot more slower, and a lot more, for me in my own personal journey, a little bit more troublesome than just surrendering to giving myself that medicine, or really slowing down to learn the medicine and integrate it and know it, and
yes, I love that you're saying this, because I had a student in the apprenticeship she was the only one who didn't want to learn this to do on other people. She was the only one that was 100% there just for herself. And she got it the deepest. I have to say, like, watching her and the transmutations and transformations that happened for her throughout the duration of the apprenticeship, she got the concept. She understood things on a level that was different than a collective of the students gathered. Because still, even when, I might be like, learn this for yourself, people don't necessarily we still have free will. And so, but she was the only one who intentionally, clearly wasn't there for any other purpose for herself. And it was so beautiful to see how much deeper everything went inside of her. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the beautiful thing, and I want to just come back to the womb and womb massage. The benefit of it, I guess, is what I want to share. Mm-hmm. I imagine we're going to run out of time someday. The benefit of connecting to your womb and connecting to the sacred portal that is to and from creation. It is the portal to and from creation. It is where all of humanity has come from, and it holds so much. And if we are able to very gently tap into that on a spiritual level, it can change our lives and how we incarnate inside of our body. And then on a physical level, it's helping move energy that often gets stuck and stagnant, because even if we just stood up, gravity, and just looked at gravity, and the way sediment settles, the pelvis is our bottom. So the sediment will energetically, spiritually, emotionally fall to the bottom. And the bottom is less likely to get stirred up, because the only ways that we stir is maybe through sex and sexuality and through poop. Mm-hmm. And so there's not a lot of ways that we're necessarily connecting to our bottoms, to our roots. Mm-hmm. And so the more that we're able to tend to that place, the less symptoms we're going to have associated with our menstrual cycle, associated with infertility, associated with pregnancy and childbirth and postpartum care.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the reason why we say all stages of life for all genders and for all levels is because it works on the mind, body, and spirit, because they're not separate.
Mm-hmm.
And just because one may be incarnating as a female in this life may not necessarily identify as that. So we work with all genders and then in all stages because we are everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really love that and honor that because, it's not just for one type of person, right? It all comes back to if this rings true for you, that's okay, and follow it, and also, it's okay if you want to learn something for yourself and you have hopes to share it with others. I just want to put a little disclaimer there too, that's okay, but give yourself that space to fully integrate in what you're learning and what life is bringing to you, because that is where the sweet spot is. And that's where you're going to learn the most. Anytime I teach somebody energy healing or, anything whether it's mentorship or whatnot, I do my best to clearly state and share with them that the way you're going to really learn this is through experience, and if you leave this training and you don't practice and you don't experience it, you're never going to feel confident in, sharing it, or you're never going to come to a place where you feel like, okay, I learned it, because you have to feed it. It's a relationship, you got to feed it and nourish it. And, your best teacher is yourself in those moments when you are practicing the medicine you're learning, whatever that is, whether that's herbalism, movement medicine or energy healing or singing or sound healing, all of them, the only way out is through. You have to have that dance.
The beautiful thing is that if you follow the things that bring you joy, that you want to learn, that you want to know more about, ultimately it's going to be what you help other people with anyway. So that part you don't even have to try.
You don't got to worry about it.
Right? You don't have to, there's you want to learn womb work? Cool. So I'm going to go into this womb journey. And then you're like, whoa, that was amazing. So now I'm going to go here. And then the next thing you know, you just are working with people. It's not something that needs so much effort.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. And I totally see that too. Cause it's like we said, naturally, you're going to resonate with people who have the medicine you need. It's in your soul. It's in your physical body, your mental, your psyche. It knows what it needs. So it's going to gravitate that way. And I think, everybody listening, and us included, have experienced those, synchronistic moments where it's like, aha, okay, this is the key to the next step. And very, very much in that way. So, ooh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So true. So good.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I'm sure that gave a lot of people, their own realizations within themselves, and it's all okay. It's all okay. It's all good. There's nothing wrong.
The thing is that some of us are driven through other people to ourselves. That's just how we know how to love, is through something else. And if it's, I want to study this to help other people, you just also have to know that you're also helping yourself, which is just a great side effect. And then the other side of it also is, if you're like, I want to do this for me, the other side of that is it's going to benefit others.
Oh yeah. It's the symbiotic.
Yeah. The more you follow your heart and you follow what is in tune, what is in resonance, what is that you want to turn yourself towards, it all just happens. It unfolds. The magic is there. The synchronicity is there. The things happen. And the beautiful thing about the Wise Womb Way or Wise Womb Medicine is it's supporting you in being incarnated here while we're here in this body, and being able to do so from a place that's becoming basically a witch of your own body. Like, you know how to alchemize the experiences that you have. You know how to listen and attune. You know how to make and eat the foods that will bring this body the nourishment. You know how to go into prayer. You know how to surrender when you need to surrender, to relax when you need to relax, drink water when you need to, and we start just becoming you start becoming you, and not these ideas of what you should be, or how you think you should look, or how you think you should eat or should live, or other people's stuff. And this is basically the end, is it brings you sovereignty, stepping fully into your sovereign being and an authentic expression of that. And through incarnating fully into your body, including your womb space, for those of you with wombs, for those of you without, there's still a hara, still an energetic portal of power that can be tapped into. And the more that we fully incarnate, the more that we actually are creating sovereignty. When you are in your resonance, which I know I've used that word a lot, it's my word right now. When you are in resonance, you become fully you. And when you're becoming fully you, your instrument is attuned to your unique song that you sing as an expression out, as a vibrational offering to this universe. And when you become you, a lot of the shit that isn't you, my loves, falls away. It's no longer about having to do energy hygiene and tend to this because you got to protect. No, it's about attuning to your resonance. And by doing that, you take up all the space that is meant for you. And you incarnate fully into that. And that is your sovereignty. That is freedom.
Yeah. Hallelujah. That was perfect.
Oh, yeah, ring a little bell.
I felt that. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And yes, it is sovereignty. That's what it is. Coming into sovereignty. So, where can people find you? Where can people experience the resonance ritual? I'm sure that if they've made it this far, they're like, okay, yes.
Resonance is the way. So, my loves, you can find me at wisewomb.medicinepath.com. And we have just closed the temple doors for the resonance ritual, but we will open them again because it is a prerequisite for everything, honestly, even to work with me. Because at this point, I have seen so many clients that I'm like, okay, I just am repeating myself. So here, take these like 9 modules, and then we can do the session and go so much deeper instead of having to always kind of do this beginning part. It teaches you so much, and it's really applicable the way that I am. I like to curse. I like to laugh, so it's how to actually bring your spiritual practice, your ideas of who you are into reality. So, so it is quite amazing. And you can find that on the school's website and put your name in there to be on the wait list. And then my Instagram for the school is Earth and Womb Medicine. And I am separate a little bit from the school, although I'm the creatress and all of that. The school is also a part of the Wisdom Council, is where I channel. And so all of that kind of stuff I kind of try to keep separate a little bit. And then you can find me at Naomi Amaya, Amaya Love on Instagram. And naomilove.org is my website.
Thank you so much. Thank you. How beautiful. I definitely recommend it, guys. Tune in with it. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. And, thank you for being on this journey, as much as you're delivering. I just want to take that moment and say thank you.
Thank you, my love. Thank you. I just had a thought. My students right now are in the process of creating, we have 10 new Wise Womb medicine journeys that will be coming out. So if you want to listen and participate in them, you can join our email list, and we're going to send them out to the folks on our email list. And I'm so excited. I have to listen to them all first before. We've gone through many stages of making sure these journeys are ready for you all, and they're going to be amazing.
That sounds juicy.
I'm like, that might be a nice thing for y'all to
Yeah.
and just say hello to the womb space and see what's there.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. How juicy. Well, perfect. Thank you for taking time, and enjoy your evening. Enjoy your delicious dinner that I know you are smelling. Right?
Thank
How
you,
sweet.
beloved ones, and thank you so much. It's nice to connect with you.
Perfect. All righty. Well, take it easy and enjoy. I really pray and hope that this episode brought you guys the wisdom and insight that you needed for your life right now along your own divine medicine path. It's an honor to bring these conversations to the table, and I really, really loved how Naomi shared with us the wisdom and the importance of practicing, of coming into resonance, really honoring our resonance and staying in tune with what we are resonating with. And I just want to share this message too. If there is anything in your life that feels out of resonance, feels sticky, feels stuck, stagnant, or out of alignment, it is okay to be there. It's okay to grow out of things. It's okay to fall out of resonance with someone or something or some place. It's part of the journey. It's part of growing. So if you're in a place in your life where you are there out of resonance, allow yourself to shift, allow yourself to sit and come up with a new way to transform and to fall deeper into resonance. Sometimes that means letting go of things or places or people, or sometimes that means falling deeper into them. So I just want to share that with you guys, that it's all part of the journey, and it's okay to be wherever you're at along that journey. And yeah, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, we really would love to hear your feedback. I would love to know what about it really set you on fire. So tune in with us on Instagram at Wild Medicine Podcast, and feel free to follow my personal Instagram at Earthly Energy. We share all good things about holistic healing and wellness and coming into your sovereignty. So if you like the discussions on this podcast, stay in tune with us on there as well. Before we tune out with this podcast, I want to share a song with you guys just to help nourish your own river and your own inner self. So please enjoy. Thank you. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into the wisdom. I remember all there is to know. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into my element. I remember where I have to go. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into the wisdom. I remember all there is to know. I remember with my hands, I remember with my heart, I remember where I come from, and I remember just where to start. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into the wisdom. I remember all there is to know. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into my element. I remember where I have to go. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into wisdom. I remember all there is to know. I remember with my hands, I remember with my heart. I remember where I come from, and I remember where to start. Stepping back into the river, stepping back into the flow, stepping back into wisdom. I remember all there is to know. Ashe.